Welcome back to the regulars. If you're new around here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, let's have a drink. Bullseye.
I sacrificed a lamb last night.
Perfect.
So I hope that was enough preparation to get started.
Hopefully you eat a lamb and a chicken.
Yes, and well, I didn't have a chicken. Those are harder to get a hold of, believe it or not. But
harder than lambs?
Yeah, I know a guy. I have a lamb. I have a lamb guy. Yeah, we go back.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Let's Have a Drink podcast. My name is Cam, I'm your bartender today, and I'm here with Jordan Jonas. He's our guest today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Cam. What are we drinking today?
We are having some bourbon.
Bourbon?
Yes,
excellent.
Bourbon and gasoline.
Gasoline.
A little bit.
I had to dilute mine a little bit. I put some Sprite in there. I'm not as tough as that. But so Jordan, your title is Professional Weirdo.
It is, yeah. I did not go to college for that.
Okay.
I did not get any degrees. That is
there's no special certification.
No, unfortunately not.
Okay.
It's not something that's taught. You have to learn it yourself.
Okay. So with that title, then what does that mean? What do you do as the Professional Weirdo?
So when I was trying to figure out what to call myself, whether to be because my act consists of like weird stuff. Like I do sideshow stunts, I do mind reading, I do magic and storytelling. And I didn't feel like the term magician really summed that up. Okay. So I went with Professional Weirdo.
Okay.
Not only for because it sounded interesting, but I just felt like that encapsulated me as a human being. I've always felt that way, but
that's fair.
Yeah,
I think that's a real encapsulating title, and it got my attention. I found out about you because you have a sticker at the urinal in Sister Bar.
I thought that was so funny when you messaged me and you were like, you hadn't seen any of my videos of what I'd done. You were just like, I saw, which by the way, I brought you stickers.
Oh, thank you.
It's JordanJonas.com. Shameless plug. But I brought you stickers. I think one of them. Which one is the one you saw on the stall?
It had a QR code on it.
Oh, I have no idea where the hell that came from.
Okay, because it was something that like I scanned and then it brought up your Instagram page.
Oh, that's creepy. I thought it was one of those two.
No.
Okay.
Because it said it might have been this one, and then I just looked you up, but I seem to recall a QR code. Maybe I'm just crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you're crazy.
Okay.
I think, I don't know. That's weird.
Okay.
Now I'm even more perplexed and curious.
So are you a Professional Weirdo full time? Or is this a side gig? Like, how does this work?
This has become a full-time operation. So, yeah, I used to, it started off, most magicians, it starts off as a hobby or just...
you pick up the Chris Angel book and then you start rolling.
Right, and then you throw up after you read it and then you realize, I don't want to do this anymore. I was never good at anything else, and I just felt like this was the thing that I wanted to do and keep pursuing, and if I wasn't doing this, I'd be asleep at a job somewhere.
That's fair. Pulling security night or something like that.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Something like that.
So you have an obvious brand, right? It's a very gothic brand here.
Right, I think something, or just a mess.
Like that. Yeah. Did that come with the job, or is that something you've kind of accumulated throughout your years?
I've always have dressed this way. Somebody had asked me the other day, like, what got me like interested in wanting to look this way, and Ozzy and his family used to have a show years ago on VH1 called The Osbournes or something.
Yeah.
And I used to watch it with my parents, even when I was a kid, even though they used to curse a lot. I have good parents. But I would look, I got into, listening to Ozzy and everything, and I liked the painted nails and the makeup and the theatrics. And so even like in grade school, I was too afraid to paint all of my nails. So I would just do my ring finger. And then I asked for circular purple sunglasses like Ozzy and a huge crucifix to wear to second grade, and everybody was like,
whose child is this?
Yeah, right. So that's ever since then, it just got
Just
worse
ramped up
and
there.
worse.
Which is interesting because when I think of like a fucking giant crucifix as a second grader, this seems a little more mild mannered to what like
Yeah, this is corporate goth.
This is corporate goth here, so you
Yeah.
kind of like toned it down a bit. I like that. How old are you?
28.
28. Okay, gotcha. So you would have been going to grade school before gay marriage was legal, before these stereotypes occurred where like men couldn't wear tight jeans. We weren't supposed to paint our
Right.
nails. We weren't supposed to do
Right.
those things. So what was that like growing up in that environment and trying to be a, I guess, alternative kid, but more just a different kid?
Luckily for me, I had the confidence from, unfortunately, not someone that I got to grow up knowing, but just hearing stories about this individual. Because I was raised by my grandparents, and my grandparents had adopted a son, and his name was Derek, and he was a professional drag queen, and unfortunately later on he ended up passing of AIDS, but my grandmother would always tell me stories of them going to the drag clubs, and he would show me pictures of these amazing costumes, and he would make like hats out of KFC buckets and like all of this amazing stuff. So that's what kind of kickstarted my interest in becoming a performer and being a creative person, is because I immediately was inspired by him, and I still am. But that kind of gave me the confidence to be like, you know what, I don't really give a shit if what people are going to think or anything. But that was what kind of pushed me in that direction to really just double down and just go for it.
Did you ever experience bullying issues growing up, looking the way that you do, within middle school, high school?
Primarily, when it got to the point where I had to eventually drop out, it was in high school. So it was getting to the point where it was violent, like very violent and aggressive, and I was afraid to go to school anymore. So I dropped out for like a year and a half, and I eventually ended up going back and getting my diploma and just sucking up and getting it over with. But I realized people are going to be assholes, and there's
with today's current age, do you find it more accepting of people who have alternative looks or ideas or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. Cool. I mean, it's still once in a while, like, you know, you go out and you run into the occasional person, but anymore it's like I'm so used to it, it just goes, you know, like water, it just repels off. So
absolutely, it's no longer a fashion style, it's just who you are at that point. Within Albuquerque, is there a big scene for magic, for sideshows, I guess? Yes and no, and in the sense of, since it is more like there's magicians here, but it's only like a handful. Since not a lot of people do it, it's not around as much. So in that case, it's good, but at the same time, trying to book shows here tends to be difficult because sometimes people don't want to pay you your rate, or they think that it's too expensive, and I have to kind of explain to them, like, look, you're not just paying for me to show up for an hour. You know, I've put in this years of work, and that's really what you're paying for. And there's a lot of energy and a lot of wasted childhood that went into this before this. So it's a creative position, much like tattooing is, where sure, the tattoo only took 2 hours, but that's like years of practice on the artist.
And the right people will realize that, and the wrong people, it's like, well, I didn't want to take you on as a client anyway.
Exactly. So you've prepared for us a couple tricks to show us today. I'd love it if you showed us one now, and then we'll show one later.
Okay, yeah. And I prepared I sacrificed a lamb last night.
Perfect.
So I hope that was enough preparation to get started.
Hopefully you need a lamb and a chicken.
Yes, and well, I didn't have a chicken. Those are harder to get a hold of, believe it or not. But
harder than lambs?
Yeah, I know a guy. I have a lamb. I have a lamb guy. Yeah, we go back. Okay, so I brought a deck of cards with me today, and before playing we associate playing cards with one of two things, either gambling or magicians.
But playing cards have quite the occult background in which people have been using them to read people's fortunes. Psychics have used them. They were actually the precursor to tarot cards. Modern day tarot cards, the minor arcana were based off of playing cards. So it's no surprise that with their enduring relationship to both the occult and with gambling, that these 52 pieces of paper have affectionately been nicknamed the Devil's Playthings.
Yes.
And right now, you look like someone the devil wants to play with. So, on that note, do you know how to shuffle?
I do.
Okay, please.
Yes.
Well, I don't know about that. But go ahead, do your best.
I'm a little. Why is the devil playing with me?
He has good taste. I don't know.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, here we go.
Perfect.
Okay.
Great. And you can see, I mean, you shuffled them, for the most part, pretty good.
Thank you.
Okay. Would you like to shuffle them again? Are you happy?
I'm okay with that. It's pretty spread.
Okay. I want you to hold out your finger for me.
Okay. Like this.
And I'm just gonna start spreading through the cards, and I just want you to just touch the back of anyone that you want.
Not yet. That one.
Preferably not that one.
Okay.
No, I'm joking. It doesn't matter. Do you want this one or do you want this one?
Let's do that one.
You want that one instead?
Yeah.
Okay. Or do you want this one?
No, I
Okay.
want that one.
Okay. I'm just gonna give you a peek at it.
Okay.
I don't know if we can.
If people in the bar want to see the card
I
to
can,
prove
I
it,
can
yeah.
show them over there.
Okay. Cool. Perfect.
Okay. And I'm just gonna put that right back where it was. I'm gonna turn my back again, and I just want you to shuffle the cards one more time.
Okay. Shuffle them with your back turned. I got it. Let me move my drink a little bit. It's a really nice shirt.
Thank you.
Yeah. Here we go. Shuffled.
Good. Now, are you right or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay, hold the deck in your left hand for me.
Okay.
And with your right hand, I want you to squeeze onto my arm.
On
for
your
me.
arm?
Yep, squeeze.
Okay.
And I just want you to get a clear image of this card in your head. Can you do that for me? Okay. And I don't want you to think about the suit. So not the spade, the club, the heart, or the dime. Just think of the value. Okay. And just keep saying it in your head, and almost like if you were like painting it.
Okay.
Now, there's all these stories. Have you ever been possessed before?
Not that I know of, I guess.
There's certain stories of people that get possessed, and like marks will show up on them, like claw marks of like initials or shapes. Or there was even a story of a psychic that would cause initials and different things to show up, and he claimed that the devil was making these images appear.
Okay.
And he turned out to be fraudulent, of course. But okay, let go. You see where it turned red because you were squeezing? That to me, that's a.
Does it look like a 3? Yep.
That is a 3.
That's a 3.
And you can. It's not makeup or anything. It's actually.
like
it doesn't
scarred.
wipe away.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was a 3.
It was a
okay,
3.
now I want you to think of the suit for me and look right at me. Think of the suit. Diamond. It was a 3 of diamonds.
Yes.
Very good job. Thank you for.
Wow. Is everyone else impressed? That's insane. Holy cow. So for those of you at home, hopefully the camera can pick that up, but we literally have a 3 engraved into his arm right here. It looks like scratched in there. Wow. That was cool.
Spooky, huh?
That is spooky.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, come on up.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Is that a... Can I touch it?
Yeah. Please.
Oh my God.
That's wild. Sorry. Oh man. Okay. I don't think I have enough drink for that.
And you'll see that by the end of the interview, this will probably it'll slowly
disappear.
fade away, which is even more weird.
Okay. We'll have to check in towards the end of the interview. That's crazy. So, one thing that stood out to me within the whole thing, you're talking about the occult, you're talking about Satan and everything like that. Are you religious or are you an atheist?
I am agnostic, I think is the term the kids
Okay.
call it these
Okay.
days. I don't know. Just I went to a Lutheran middle school, believe it or not, and Lutherans are supposed to be a little more low key, but they really beat it out of me, and I did not have a good experience, and that was kind of turned me in another direction. And,
Yeah.
And
So how was that I'm still freaking out about the 3. Sorry. Was all you said about the occult stuff? Is that true? That
it is. Yeah,
okay.
it's historically accurate, and that's what I was kind of talking about. Like what I do, I encompass and I put in bits of actual, history, creepy history, and storytelling, and that's kind of a taste of that.
That was theatrical. So I was expecting a magic trick, but that came with the full story. There was involvement. That was really cool.
Thank you.
So I've always heard let's just say like radical evangelicals, right? Complain about how those are the devil's playthings, right? So there's some legitimacy to what they're saying then.
Right. Well, yes and no. Okay. I mean, it's all just what you perceive onto them, just like a Ouija board or anything that, because you're giving that item weight. Whatever your beliefs are, you're putting that weight and that kind of superstition on that item. But I mean, at the end of the day, at least to my knowledge, they are just paper.
So you asked me if I've ever been possessed. Have you?
Is that the first time you've ever been asked that?
That's the first time. No. So I used to. At one point, I was a hyper-religious person off of a sect that really isn't mainstream. It was Mormonism. And when I was serving my mission, someone asked me if I was possessed by the Mormon devil. So that's the first time I was asked. No, it's not. Oh. But because Christians are accepting of all unless you're different. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But this is the second time I've been asked that. Have you ever been possessed? Or you ever heard of anyone being possessed, like legitimately? Because I'm an atheist. I don't actually.
Right.
My thought process is that there's no God, there's no hell, there's no demon.
Right. I don't believe myself that there have been some very interesting accounts of possession and exorcism, but to my knowledge, because that's another thing, of course, that I research and look into, all of them have been very, well put together hoaxes and things. But at the end of the day, you take it with a grain of salt because you never know.
It's fair.
For the most part.
When I say I'm atheist, I'm probably more agnostic than atheist. I think someone once told me an agnostic is an atheist. It's just that an atheist is willing to fight about it.
Right.
That's like the difference.
See, I was too late. I don't want to fight about it.
No, that's
I'm just
fair.
like, I'm a peaceful person. I don't need to get into it.
No, that's very fair. So when you're doing these shows, these events, how long does a set last? Is it just trick after trick after trick, or is it an hour? Or
it's
what does it look like?
It's usually about an hour long, and I try very hard to not make it like, thing after thing in succession of one another, and I try to make everything kind of flow into the next thing, similar vibe if you were going to a concert or whatever, because I've tried so hard to not make it feel like you're going to a magic show. That's been very important to me, to make it different and to make it like something that you actually want to be there to see.
No, absolutely. What type of exhibitionism do you do at these shows with these stunts? Like what type of? Because when I think of stunts with the magicians, I think of needles through your cheek or stuff like that. Like what do you do?
Like the old sideshow, doing the blockhead and stuff. But I do the two that I primarily do. I floss my eye cavity with a piece of string. So I have a piece of string and I swallow it halfway, and I regurgitate it. I hope the mic caught that. I regurgitate it back up, and then I pull it out of my eye and kind of do, and then I pull it all the way out, and then that is the appropriate response. And then I
don't even like going to the optometrist to get my eyes blown into. Holy cow.
And then I have another thing where which is a classic of, it's called Geek Magic. A geek, a sideshow performer that used to bite the heads off chickens is where that comes from, is the geek. But I swallow either 25 to 30 sewing needles in a shot glass, and then using our old pal, the thread again, I pull some off the spool and then I swallow that. And eventually, through the forces of unknown to man, I pull them out, and all of the needles are tied on to the string.
Have you ever hurt yourself doing this?
Once. On a Friday the 13th at Sister Bar. I was opening up for a musician friend of mine,
And believe it or not, there is a right way to swallow needles and a wrong way to swallow needles. And one of them, they're supposed to go down this way, preferably.
So they actually go down.
A little bit. The one of them got caught this way. And there was a bit of a tickle. And we kind of had, with me and my girlfriend and the rest of the people that were there putting the show together, because I was supposed to do more stuff after I did this, and I immediately felt like something was wrong, and I finished everything. I immediately walked off stage, and no one else would have known that something had gone wrong, but because she had seen me do it so many times, she knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
And I was in the bathroom trying to get it out and to heave it up, and it took a while, but eventually
Got it up.
My God. So that was, knock on wood, so far the only rough experience.
Have you ever done sword swallowing?
I have not.
Is that
I haven't gotten. Maybe at some point. We'll see. By the end of this, we'll see.
That's fair. You
have a sword?
I have a baseball bat, but it's a little thick.
Hey, let's try. We can break it.
That's horrifying. Oh my goodness. Are there any like inspirations you have within the field? Because when I said Chris Angel, you said gag at the book. So obviously he's not.
Well, yeah, he started early on. He did start as inspiration for sure.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of went the opposite. I don't know what he had started doing, but I didn't appreciate it. Mm-hmm. So I didn't like that anymore. But the main person that got me inspired in magic was David Blaine.
Okay.
From his Street Magic special, he was the first one to kind of really take it off of the stage and start doing magic like casually at bars and stuff. And he had this whole very like quaaluded kind of demeanor, and I thought that he was like a real shaman, and that's what enticed me, was his character and how, the reaction he was getting from people and everything. So that's what really got me kickstarted into magic. And then like a lot of my other inspirations are musicians and Alice Cooper and Jack White and I try to pull from a lot of different sources of inspiration and not just stay in the realm of magic, but there are a lot of amazing magicians that I look up to and have tried to base my own character off of.
Okay. Honestly, it feels like if this way's Penn and Teller, you're like over here. You know what I mean? Which is a good thing, because there's half a dozen Penn and Tellers. You know what I mean?
Right.
On primetime right now.
Right.
You said that a big part of your show is storytelling. Mm-hmm. What type of stories do you tell? Do you have a favorite story you like to tell?
Kind of like this, the realm of that kind of magic is referred to as bizarre magic.
Okay.
Is where it focuses more on storytelling, but I've tried to put in my own influence into it to where it's equally a very impressive thing that happens, and then some storytelling that also takes place. So like I talk about the history of Jack the Ripper and like the murders at Whitechapel, and that's a common thing, or different items that were used for divination and occult purposes, because I collect a lot of weird stuff.
Okay.
I know I don't put off that kind of a vibe, but I collect different items that were used for occult things, and like I have haunted objects that I will bring out and demonstrate things using those items, and the history that was given to me once I purchased those items, I will relay to other people, but encompass it in with a routine and stuff. So that's more or less what I do.
Okay. Do you ever find yourself having issues with hecklers at this type of position? Because comedians get it all the time, right?
Right, yeah. I have had a few. Surprisingly, I mean, for the most part, people are pretty friendly, and they'll wait until after the show to come up to me and be belligerent or whatever. But I mean, it comes with any line of work where you're on stage. You have to like especially if there is someone that is totally against like tarot cards or any of that business.
Why would they show up to your show? Like, have you?
See, that's the most amazing part, is because I'm very forward about what to kind of you kind of get a taste of it on the poster. Like if I have posters,
I got a taste of it at the urinal. I was like, I kind of know what this guy's gonna do.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess they show up just to be the one person, one hand clapping.
Okay.
And make a noise and try to get some kind of a reaction out of me. But
of all these Karens that have showed up to your show, which one has been the most memorable? Like, do you have a story about one of them?
Oh man. I don't know if I would consider her a Karen. Just the one that just immediately popped into my head was when I was doing the needle swallowing, and I usually, for the most part, I'm pretty good at audience management, and I know who to choose, who's going to be. I can see who's drunk or who's going to try to be an ass. So, and I picked the wrong person to come up because she was gone, and I was like, I have her help me put the needles in the shot glass, and this was like this was like my first performance after the restrictions lifted.
Yeah.
And like without masks or anything, and she starts picking up the needles and she's trying to show off to everyone in the bar, and she's licking them sensually and putting them in the glass, and
like,
I was just like, can you please not? Yeah. And so not really a Karen, just obnoxious. And I never want to make the people that I come up on stage, I don't want to make them look like a fool.
Yeah.
Or like an idiot, and I try to be respectful, and but like when it comes to things like that, I have some things that I will say. And back pocket things.
Okay, so you're like a part-time comedian up there.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it can be funny sometimes in the wrong ways, but sometimes in the right ways.
In the perfect way. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, it's the perfect way. Absolutely. How often do you do shows then? Because this is your full-time thing. So how long does it take to prepare for a show? How often do you do a show?
So I do like three different kinds, I guess. So I do shows that I like fund and put together myself, like my traveling set and my show that I will book theaters out, and I do that for an hour, right? And then I also, people can book me and hire me if they're having a cocktail party or whatever kind of a function at their house or location, and they can either book me to do like close-up stuff and I'll like stroll around from people to people, or they can book me to do my stand-up hour-long show if they want that as well. So those are like the three things that I do.
Would you prefer doing something like selling out a theater, or would you rather be like at some cocktail party?
I really I have a very punk rock mentality when it comes to magic.
Okay.
In that I like small venues because I get to feel you. We're here together, and bigger venues you can't see everyone's faces.
Yeah,
and
you can't see the 3 on your arm. Can I check that, by the way?
It's
starting to go away.
Going away.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, you get to feel their, more of their energy, and you get to see them, and so I like doing intimate venues, and usually like I'll try to find venues that have like 100 max. Yeah. But then like for close up, see, that's great because normally a lot of people aren't used to experiencing magic like
right
this.
here. I'm used to like on the TV and they made the card disappear, but I'm like, that's on the stage. Like,
right, and this is where like the real. I mean, people ask me, was magic real? Well, yeah, this is you're experiencing it right here. There's not a lot of places to hide.
Yeah.
And it's this moment of you and me together, and it's right here. It's in your face.
It's almost intimate in a way, because if it's in such close proximity, the amount of trust that you give the client, but also the client giving you,
right?
It's rather intimate, which is that's really cool about close-up magic.
Right.
That's really cool. Are there any tricks that you haven't learned how to do that you want to learn how to do, or any stunts that you're trying to figure out how to do, like sword swallowing or fire breathing or something like that?
I'm still trying to figure out even more about myself still.
Okay.
I still feel like I haven't I'm still growing every day as a performer, and there was a quote, when you're green, you grow, but when you're ripe, you rot. So you don't ever want to ripen. You don't want to rot. You want everything is a learning experience. And even when I get to the point that I feel like I've learned everything, there's still so much more that I want to embark on. And
never hit your prime.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't have hindsight right now, believe it or not, or at least that far into the future. But I don't know. I don't know what road I'll end up taking.
Part of your show is mind reading. How does that work?
So I never claim to be that, because that can be another very tricky thing, especially with the stuff that I do. That's very, talking to the spirits and stuff. Because I'll have people come up to me, can you reach out? My mother just passed away last year. Can you reach out? And I'm against that. Yeah. I don't condone that at all. And I tell them what I do is entertainment. I don't claim to be a psychic. I'm using abilities that we can all harbor and we can all learn. It just takes practice and repetition and practice. And but yeah, when it comes to doing stuff like this and reading, really it's reading people. And there's some psychology that goes into it, and some of it is magic, and it's just kind of a melting pot of different things to make it, a lot of moving parts to make it all come together.
Absolutely. With those moving parts, is that something you can do on the fly, or does it take a lot of preparation?
Yeah. I usually, at this point, like if we are out somewhere, and I try not to, if I am going to be drinking or whatever, I try not to do stuff anymore. Yeah. Because I know I'm not 100% alert. But usually if somebody comes up to me and they're like, show me something, if you can't do something in that moment, well then you're not very good at what you do. Like, even though it's weird because you don't find out that someone's a musician and you meet them on the street and you're like play me a song.
Do a song, man.
So I even anymore, like if someone asks me, I try to be nice about it, and I can do something, but I try to be like, no, I'm just I'm off the clock right now. Okay. And
Okay. So would you be willing to do something like that here on the podcast, or?
Yeah,
okay,
I could.
Perfect. Mm-hmm. Would you like to try reading my mind or one of our audience's minds?
We can. It doesn't matter. Okay. I don't know. I can do you again because now we've already set up a connection already.
Okay, so. Gotcha. I'm down because I'd love to see it.
Okay.
You said that there's like psychology behind it, and that kind of makes sense to me.
Right.
I also noticed that you brought this thing right there. Do you hypnotize people?
Yeah. So this is, and that's what we're going to use for this right now.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
I'll explain that in a minute once the.
I hope that's not your final trick.
Card
if I'm
gets
pulling it early.
It was going to be.
Okay.
But
Let's do it. Yeah,
okay. You want to do it anyway?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So. I also have some of my business cards that we're going to be using for this.
Wonderful.
I think that should be about 5. 3, 4, 5. Okay, perfect. So, let's talk about the pendulum first. Have you ever seen a pendulum before?
I have, because when you think about the classic psychic,
right, you are getting sleepy.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
But this might put you to sleep. I don't know, but we'll see. So a pendulum, these have been used, this is, like I was saying, this is a tool of divination. That's what these originally were used for.
Okay. What is divination?
So it's access to things that there's no way that you could know. A lot of people think that it's your subconscious that's kind of the pendulum opens that up, and it's kind of the key to your subconscious. Okay. Some people think that the spirits guide this and move it to reveal those things. But that's what primarily the pendulum is used for, and that's what we're going to be using it for right now. Okay. But we need to charge it with your energy. Okay. So I'm just going to have you hold on. You're going to hold on to the bead at the top like this.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
And we'll try to get it still here. But I just want you to focus all of your attention on the pendulum here, okay? And I want you to imagine that it starts to swing back and forth in a straight line. And immediately once I said it, it starts swinging, and you were thinking of it moving in a horizontal line, yes?
Yeah.
So that shows you were just thinking that, but the pendulum projected it. Now I want you to imagine it swinging in a vertical line and not a horizontal line. So it immediately changes direction. So that's where I was saying that it accesses your subconscious, and this is a very real form of demonstrating mind reading. Because
Yeah.
you're just thinking it, but we can all see what you're thinking here. Now I want you to think of it moving in a circle. It starts very small, and then immediately it starts moving in a circle. And the more and more that you start to think of that circle, the wider and wider it starts to go. See, that's weird, and it's amazing. So that is now in tune with you. Okay. So we're gonna leave that right here for right now. Now, I want you to, today is the first day that we've officially met.
Yeah.
Okay.
We chatted on Instagram a couple times, but this is like face-to-face
Right.
first time. Yeah.
But before coming in today, I did not ask you to think of anything specifically. I didn't say, okay, think of this word or this person or anything like that. Okay. As far as you know, you didn't know what I was going to ask you to think of.
Unless you stalked me, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want you to think about somebody in your life, somebody that is near and dear to you, somebody that's alive and well. Okay. I just want you to think about their first name. Okay. In a moment, I'm going to have you print their name right here on this line, and then you're just going to turn the card face down.
Okay.
Okay. And so just let me know when you're done.
And first name, right?
Yes.
Someone who's near and dear, alive and well.
And let me know when it's face down, and I can turn back around.
Face down in front of you or me?
In front of you.
Okay, perfect. Face down.
Good?
Yeah, we good.
Okay, so actually, I'm going to have you mix in. So these are all blanks. All the rest of these are blanks. I want you to mix in that name in with these. Make sure they're all my design
Facing the same way.
Facing the same way. That way, that would be too easy. Okay.
Shuffling. All right. Okay.
Good.
Here we go.
So right now, if I were to fan these out and I were to have you pick one, you would have no idea which one of these cards had the name on it, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to take one out at random. I want you to hold your hand over it and try to pick up on the energy of the card, and I want you to tell me, do you think that's a blank card or do you think that it has the name on it?
What would the energy feel like if it?
You'd be able. It's just kind of like you just know. You immediately
that doesn't
know.
have it then.
You don't think it is? Okay, flip it over. Nothing.
Okay.
So you were right. That's very good. Yeah, applause. Right?
Go.
Yeah, spontaneous applause. Okay. I want you to mix the cards again for me.
Okay.
And then when you're done mixing them, kind of place them haphazardly spread out face down on the table.
Okay.
Okay?
Haphazard.
Now this is where the pendulum comes in.
Okay.
Now this is something that's called psychometry, because right now on one of these cards is a person that's near and dear to you.
Okay.
We charged this with your energy. So your energy and this other energy from the person that's near and dear to you, they should attract to one another.
Okay.
Okay, so the pendulum, if I'm over the card that has the name on it, it should start moving pretty significantly. So that we're just going to kind of process of elimination. So I'm just going to hold it very still over this one. Not a lot of motion over that, so I think that one's blank, and it is. Okay, let's move on. Let's go. I kind of let it guide me in a way.
Yeah.
Let's go to this one. Not really a lot of motion for that one either. Blank.
Blank. Okay.
Okay. Let's move to this one because I saw a little bit, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna go back to this one.
I'm starting to loop. This is crazy.
I think there's less motion for this one, so this one's blank.
Yeah.
Blank. So now it's 50-50.
Okay.
Between the two. Let's see. Okay, so that one has a lot more than we've seen, but there was still a little bit over here.
Because that one had the full circles going.
Okay. My intuition, I'm going to go with that one. So that means...
Okay, so you picked out the 4 blank ones, and then this one is the one that I wrote on.
Right. Okay. So that's the first part of this.
There's part 2. Okay.
But you're thinking of this person. I want you to think about the relationship of this person, okay? I want you to place your hand down on top of the pendulum and the card flat.
Like touching it?
Yeah, all the way down, okay? So I just want you to think about the relationship of this person. Now, even though I'm not touching you, you can feel something when I even get close to you right here. You can start to feel your hand starts to warm up a little bit on the inside, yeah? But even though I'm not touching you, right? Okay, I want you to think about the relationship of this person. Think just yes or no in your head. Don't say it out loud. Think, is this a male or a female? Just think, is this a male or a female? Is this a male? Just think yes or no. Is this a male? No, this is not a male. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so it's a female.
Okay, yeah.
That was a 50% shot. So,
Yeah.
just trying to be real. Okay. Think about the relationship of this person. Okay. I'm going to ask you, is this a... Actually, I don't think I am going to ask you. Is this a close friend of yours? Or is it a family member? I'm pretty sure, and you can answer me, is it a close friend?
No.
So it is a family member. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah? Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
what's the relationship? Tell me what the relationship is.
Out loud.
Mhm.
Wife.
Your wife,
Yeah.
okay?
That's why I was like, well, sort of. Like, it depends.
I want you to think about a letter in the middle of her name. Think about a letter in the middle of her name.
Okay.
You changed back and forth, didn't you? You went from the O and then you went to the N, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. That was very clear. I saw that. Okay. I want you to just think about the first letter of her name. The first letter of her name. Why? You're thinking of your wife, Yvonne?
Yeah.
I don't believe you. Let me see. Let's see.
What got me was you're thinking back and forth between two letters, and I'm like, how the fuck did you know that? Okay, so how much of that was?
It's all bullshit. No, I'm kidding.
So for everyone who is listening to this via Spotify or Apple Podcast or whatever, he just fucking blew my mind. Because with the pendulum thing, he was able to pinpoint exactly which card was the right one. That's wild.
A little bit.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah.
Now, I assume the psychology part plays into the asking questions and guesses and whatnot, correct?
Right. Because sometimes people will give a lot away with the face.
Yeah.
You, on the other hand, are not one of those people.
Okay.
Okay. At least for the most part. But yeah.
I have a natural dumb look, so there's not.
Well, not in so many words.
So, with the pendulum, then, can you use that to hypnotize somebody?
You can. Hypnotism is definitely a legitimate thing. That's even something I've experienced myself.
Okay.
I've met a couple of hypnotists that have, not using a pendulum, but I remember he had this way of, he would go out to shake your hand, and the way he would grab your hand and he would pull it, but the way that he would pull it would trigger. He had a special way of pulling it, and it would just make you pass out, essentially. And it was the weirdest feeling that I've never hypnotized anyone, at least I don't think so.
Yeah.
But it is a weird feeling. And with hypnotism, there's less magic that goes into that for the most part, because that is kind of, you're playing with pressure points and psychology and things. So that's a little less of that. But yeah, it is a real thing.
That's cool.
You can see the blood is starting to drip from your nose. And,
I was like, wait a second, hold up. That is the coolest trick I think I've ever seen. I haven't seen a lot of magic, to be fair, but That kind of blew my mind.
See, and unfortunately, like magicians get, a bad name. Like anytime you kind of bring up, when you tell people that you're a magician, they think, oh, you do kids parties or you do like
pull a rabbit out of the hat.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's because so many people have seen crappy magicians. So that's why they've gotten the stigma. Because I'm not saying that I'm good at all.
You're pretty good.
But there are a lot of people that present the art poorly, and it is an art form, and a lot of people don't take it seriously. They either do it to pick up on chicks, which get a better way to pick up on chicks, because this is not the way to do it. Just become a musician and actually be cool or something. There's so many performers that an audience will see and they're either hacks and that is their idea of what all magicians are, like this guy or whatever. So
the only good thing I ever saw out of magic before now wasn't even a magician. It was a improvisational stand-up routine that we saw as a class at like Pope Joy, and he taught people how to like walk downstairs and do all crazy things that looked convincing and real, but in reality it was just like the way you improv, right? And now I remember seeing that, and 10-year-old me was like, that is cool.
Yeah,
I love that. And then every magician I saw after that was either like big stage TV magician or rinky-dink magician you have at your kid's birthday party.
Right.
Yeah. So this is really cool to see it come in this form. It's wild.
Yeah. Well,
do you get a lot of pushback from hyper religious people?
No, surprisingly.
Okay.
I mean, every once in a while, of course, you get somebody that'll come up to me. Those are the people that save it till after, and they're like, we can, we can save you, and maybe you shouldn't be doing this, and you shouldn't be, playing with Ouija boards, and because the line they always like to use is, you open that door and you can't close it, and all this stuff, and I'm like,
the door's been open.
It's been open for a while. Like, we get together, the spirits and me, we get together. We're friends. We go way back. But
so with the Ouija board, then I grew up. My mom telling me that the Ouija board is, and she still says this, is the devil, right? Like the Ouija board is like something scary, and why is it marketed to kids? And it's Satan's game. How legitimate is that?
I mean, like I said, it's all about the what you put into it. Whatever intentions you put into it is how you're going to view it.
Okay.
I don't personally think that they are evil. I have a modest collection of them, and I play with them in a responsible way, I would assume. I am aware of the history of them. I know that I'm not really opening up any dangerous areas, and I've been using them for 10 years, 11 years for a while.
And you're still here and you don't have black eyes.
Right,
like,
but if I didn't play with it, I wouldn't have these abilities, so...
So there's something to it.
That's right, no. I just... I try to... Because I work my part-time job, I work on a ghost tour in Old Town, Albuquerque.
Oh, no way, I've been on those.
And I try to educate people on... I'll bring a board with me some nights, and I'll explain to people the history and how they got started, and they were never really an evil item. And then pop culture got a hold of it and demonized it, literally.
Yeah, literally demonized it. And
that's really where it got its stigma, because before that, people didn't view them that way.
So educate me then, because I'm blissfully unaware about the history of a Ouija board.
It's funny because... originally, when they were like the very first one, and they were asking the board, like, what should we call you? Like, they were already trying to market it, and the story is that it spelled out Ouija, whatever. But that it just went to 5 random letters, and they were like, yep, that's it,
that's
Ouija.
The name.
But people. They used to be called witch boards or spirit boards, talking boards, before the Ouija brand got put on them by Parker Brothers. And I guess if I had to explain, it's like Parker Brothers. That's all you need to know. It's marketed by Parker Brothers.
Yeah, it's the Monopoly guys.
Right.
Yeah.
But, it's just one of those polarizing things that, people always have stories about either playing with them or like they have a story of a friend
playing with them, but originally like it was just a fun parlor, like a parlor game in Victorian times. In the spiritualist movement in the 1800s, they weren't afraid of the undead or the ghosts or anything. They embraced death and dying, and they were into hiring psychics and having seances, and it was a form of entertainment and not ritual or anything, not anything weird, really.
So what changed?
I think it's all it's been pop culture that is really, and as much as I like horror movies and everything, I love horror movies, but yeah, horror movies gave all of the stigma, and like anytime we hear about even just bringing up witchcraft, like witchcraft is not a scary religion. It's they're actually pretty progressive and cool. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But for some reason, there's this whole stigma of it being sacrifices, and that's just ignorance, and that's not what it is.
That's fair.
At all.
That's fair.
So,
although you did come in saying you sacrificed the lamb.
I did, but it wasn't the whole lamb. It was just
just a hoof or two.
That's just one.
Absolutely.
One hoof. I'm tongue in cheek for the most part.
No, yeah, absolutely. There's a pastor. There's a pastor. His name's Greg Locke. You ever heard of him?
I have not.
He's a dipshit. I hate him. But he's an alt-right MAGA preacher who
was redundant.
Fair. He was an alt-right preacher. Yeah, this is fair. Who has put out so much political speeches within his sermons that he actually filed the government to take away his religion title so he could start paying taxes so they wouldn't get mad at him anymore. But anyway.
Good for him.
Yeah.
But it's about time.
At least we're getting his money, right?
Yeah.
But he threw out supposed witches from his congregation within the last year. And he keeps coming out and is like, we found 2 more witches in the name of Jesus Christ. I command you to get out. And he gets like super like Baptist preacher style Biblist with it. And these people I look at the interviews they have after the fact. Some of them are still faithful MAGA people. You know what I mean? They're still like faithful Christians. So it feels like we're entering back into a time of witch hunting.
Right. We're going back into the 1700s.
Exactly.
It feels like.
So does that worry you at all? Like.
No, because it's just going to get, I think it entices people more.
Yeah.
And gets people maybe even more interested. I'm not too worried about it because
I was interested in it after watching that. I was like, oh, Greg Locke hates them? They must be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely. That was last call. Did you want another splash of something or is that good?
I'll do tequila.
Okay, perfect.
And if I'm lucky, I'll end up getting the worm, but
we'll see. I think one of our guys wants to try it with you.
I can try to bring it back to life.
Oh, you got the worm. Turns out there's not a lot in there. You want the worm in your drink?
Oh, God.
There you go.
How exactly? Okay, yeah, go for it.
Don't eat the worm yet.
Okay.
So I think we want to eat that, cut it up and eat it as a group.
Okay, I will. So I'll just grace it with my lips. How about that?
I don't know. Okay. I don't know what the plan is, I guess. We'll do a TikTok on that or something.
Okay.
But last question for you I wanted to ask you. How do kids get into magic? Like this? Because I had a magic kit growing up and I learned how to do the balls thing and then like the tying knots and whatnot.
Right.
But it ended there. How do kids get into this level of magic?
I mean, it all is just dependent on... I don't think that's a bad way to get into it. Because I didn't get started with a magic set, really. I remember getting one for Easter or something, and it was something that I played with for like that day, and that was it. Because I learned a lot of what I do from books. I've always liked to read, and I think a lot of the more high quality magic is in the older books. Mm-hmm. And now, I mean, anything is accessible. There's online lectures from, great performers that you can, just watch. And
there's probably a whole YouTube series on it,
right.
Honestly.
Just going to go for this.
Yeah,
no, I'm not
going
to. I don't think that's my first time ever having it with the
worm inside of it.
The worm in there.
It's
tasty. It's good.
It's like getting the
it's earthy.
Prize out of the cereal box.
Mm-hmm.
I got the worm out of the tequila bottle. Yeah. As far as your collection, what are some standout objects you have within your collection?
So I have like one of my favorite guys is I have a preserved wet specimen bat in a giant like crystal ball, and he has like his wingspan is out. He's a pretty good size.
Wow.
He's like this big.
That's a big crystal ball.
And he's well endowed downstairs, and yeah, he died with his pride. But I have that. He's cool.
So it's a bat with a giant cock.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes, yeah. And I always try to put it in cheekier terms, but that, and I have some photographs of Jack the Ripper victims that were used in the actual case. For some of the people that were victims and a lot of the people that weren't victims, because it was a very interesting case. There were copycat killers and different stuff. So that's kind of cool. I know I'm forgetting.
Do you have a shrunken head?
Other thing. That is the one thing I don't have.
Just curious.
I don't have a shrunken head yet, but that is a good idea. I should get that. I should get one at some point.
There's this pretty popular tattooer, and for some reason I can't remember his fucking name, but he's known for doing these really gothic, dark, realistic, like evil tattoos. That's what his style is. And he has a giant collection of bizarre.
Yeah, like oddities.
Yeah, oddities, exactly. He has he was telling me a story about, not telling me, he was telling a story on YouTube about how he was at a convention tattooing, and these, back in the 90s, and these greasers equivalents came up and said, hey, we got something for you. Took him to the back of the car, and they had a severed head in the back of the car that they were going to get to that they found in the desert. Wow. And he was like, I want to take it.
There's a lot of legality here. I have to preserve it, and
who was there's some issues with that. Yeah,
but maybe someday I'll have a severed head.
That'd be cool.
Too, maybe.
Well, I think the photos from Jack the Ripper are cool enough as that. That's insane. That's a very cool collection right there.
Yeah, and I try to keep them. Try to keep a lot of that stuff because I have like a coffin-shaped bookcase that I keep everything in.
That's badass.
And it never used to be a bookcase, and it was a prop that I used to come out of for stage shows, but it was too heavy to move around because I had it built out of the most heavy wood known to man. So I turned it into a bookcase, and now that's where all of that fun stuff resides.
I used to work at a funeral home, and I always thought it'd be really cool to drive around a hearse as a vehicle.
Oh yeah, who hasn't?
I want to get like a hearse limousine. Yeah,
except the gas. They guzzle a lot of gas.
Yeah, that would be the Sunday driver, not the day driver. Cool. Well, I appreciate you coming into the bar, man.
Yeah.
Come back anytime, but I really appreciate you showing me the tricks. And
absolutely.
Awesome. I get to know the craft a lot more.
Well, I hope that you enjoyed it and your listeners and viewers enjoy it.
Everyone here at the bar enjoyed it.
I think everyone...
Yeah.
That's all... The real audience left hours ago. This is just pre-recorded laugh track.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.